Alright guys, how's it going? So according to reports, WBC light heavyweight champion Adonis Stevenson is going to be defending his title against Thomas Williams Jr. Now, for those of you who don't know who Thomas Williams Jr. is, I've seen the guy fight several times, and I have to say, I'm not impressed. Not impressed in the slightest. Now, for those of you who don't know, Thomas Williams Jr. actually quit with an eye injury against Gabriel Campillo, and it wasn't even that bad. He was getting defeated in the fight. He couldn't handle it, and he quit. And let's just say, guys, Gabriel Campillo is not exactly a world level fighter, is he? Uh, this is the same Gabriel Campillo that was knocked out by Marcus Brown recently, that was knocked out by Artur Beterbiev, that was knocked out by Andrei Fonfara, that was knocked out by Sergey Kovalev, that was defeated by Kaio Murat, was defeated by Babet Shumanov. He was also knocked out earlier in his career by Uzlekov. So, this guy, he's been knocked out, I think, 5 times in his career. He's been beaten several times. I think he has 8 losses. So, you would expect a world title contender, especially these days, to defeat somebody like Gabriel Campillo. Well, this guy wasn't able to do it. Now, he does have some significant victories, Thomas Williams Jr. His last fight, he did stop Edwin Rodriguez. However, the only thing I'll say about that fight, guys, is that stoppage, and I don't care who disagrees with this, that stoppage was a disgrace, okay? He knocked Edwin Rodriguez down in the second round. Edwin Rodriguez got up, he was perfectly fine, he beat the count. The referee just waved it off. I thought that stoppage was absolutely ridiculous. They should have at least allowed him a chance to continue, because it wasn't like he couldn't continue. He wanted to continue. He was fine, in my opinion. He just got caught with a shot. But but yeah, that's one of the only somewhat meaningful victories on Thomas Williams Jr.'s record. I mean, the other guys he's fought, he went the distance with Yusuf Mack, which in itself is a bit disturbing, because this is the same Yusuf Mack that has, again, multiple knockout defeats on his record. He was knocked out by Carl Froch, he was knocked out by Glenn Johnson, he was knocked out by Tavoris Cloud. Who else was it? I think it was Labredo Andrade knocked him out, and I think Alejandro Barrio also knocked him out. He was the former super middleweight champion. So yeah, a guy that's been knocked out multiple times, that's known for having a dodgy chin, that has multiple losses on his record, was able to go the distance with this guy. The only other meaningful victories he has, he defeated Humberto Savin, who I really don't rate that highly, and Enrique Ornales, again a guy with like 10 losses, something like that. So you know this is not a world level opponent. This guy does not belong in the ring with Adonis Stevenson. This fight, in my opinion, is a mismatch. This guy's going to get destroyed. Now, how does he fight? He's a southpaw. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to say that he's slick and that he could use that to his advantage. I don't think so. He doesn't look very slick to me. He looks like a pretty straight up, pretty conventional boxer. There's a fairly decent bit of head movement there. He's got a fairly decent counter left hand, but I don't really see much else. From the fights that I've watched of him, I just don't see anything. I don't see anything that this guy can do to really trouble Adonis Stevenson. Adonis Stevenson's at that stage now. He's what, 38 years old, 39, something like that. He's approaching his 40s. So you would think that he would want to get some big fights in. But he really doesn't seem that ambitious to me. Adonis Stevenson doesn't seem to want any big fights. I mean, he's been ducking the Kovalev fight for the past 2 years. He doesn't seem to want to fight Andre Ward. He was chasing a fight with Carl Froch, I know that, and he was trying to get Hopkins in the ring also, but, he just doesn't seem ambitious to me. As far as this opponent goes, Thomas Williams Jr., this is just another obscure opponent picked out of nowhere. I'm not sure if this guy is actually in a mandatory position to fight for the title. I don't know. I haven't researched it at all. I've just read one report telling me that this is the opponent. I don't know the situation surrounding the rankings or where this guy ranks. All I know is who he's fought and what kind of fighter he is, and that he's fighting for a title, which I don't think is right. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are going to come and tell me, oh, well, isn't Kovalev fighting Chilemba? I'll get to that in another video, but yes, that is another pointless, garbage-ass fight, and I'll be perfectly honest there. I think that fight is pointless. fighting that guy. I just don't see what Kovalev has to gain from that fight. I really don't. And it's not like he's a mandatory. I mean, he's coming off a defeat. So yeah, Adonis Stevenson against Thomas Williams Jr. Not impressed with this fight. I think that this fight is pointless. Yeah, I mean, Adonis Stevenson's competition since winning the title has been pretty mediocre when you think about it. I mean, he fought Tavoris Cloud, who, in my opinion, was one of the worst fighters to hold a world title ever. And he got that stoppage in that fight, so congratulations. He also fought Tony Bellew, who I guess you could consider that a meaningful victory because Tony Bellew this past weekend was able to become cruiserweight champion, so that's a meaningful victory there for Stevenson. Although I will be honest, Tony Bellew isn't at his best at light heavyweight. I think we all know that at light heavyweight he was just cutting too much weight. I mean, having to drain 25 pounds off of his body from the amateurs, it obviously had a negative effect on his performances in the ring. So, I don't think we can really take too much from that Tony Bellew fight. He did defeat Andre Fonfara, so that's a good victory for Stevenson. He had a lot of problems in that fight. He was knocked down, he was taking the distance, and he won a close decision. And since then, Fonfara has done very well, gone on to stop Chavez Jr. and defeat Nathan Cleverly. So, you know, Stevenson has got some good victories, but it's his most recent victories, like fighting Tommy Karpensky. I mean, come on to fuck, man. Tommy Karpensky was handily beaten by Nathan Cleverly. His only somewhat meaningful victory that he had was a split decision against a washed-up, completely done Chad Dawson. So, Adonis Stevenson, I don't see what he's playing at. I really don't. He just doesn't seem interested to me in taking big fights. And the longer he leaves it, the worse it's gonna get for him. I mean, he doesn't want to be fighting Kovalev and Ward and all that when he's 40 years old, does he? I mean, he really doesn't. So where does he go from here? I mean, he'll probably knock this guy out early. Who knows? Uh, will he win this fight? Yeah, of course he will. This guy ain't gonna do nothing. Okay, Thomas Williams Jr. He ain't gonna do nothing to Stevenson. Okay, this guy doesn't have the skill. He doesn't have the diversity with his style. I think that Stevenson, with those long arms and that big, strong, powerful straight left hand that he throws, I think he should be able to keep this guy at bay and knock him out from distance. I think he probably will be able to do that. I will say one thing. If Stevenson has problems with this guy, if he can't knock this guy out, I'll be very concerned. I will, because again, this guy was stopped by Gabriel Campillo, and he doesn't have any, really meaningful victories on his record. So, yeah, this is a pretty much a cherry-picked opponent. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna get pissed at me for saying that, but it's the truth. Okay, I call it how it is. If you guys are gonna criticize people like Golovkin for fighting his mandatory challengers, then a fight like this has to be called out because this opponent is leagues below Adonis Stevenson. He really is. Adonis Stevenson. I rated Adonis Stevenson very highly back when he was at super middleweight. I've mentioned in previous videos that I actually guaranteed that he would be a world champion. Back when he was creeping up the IBF rankings, I felt that he was a very significant threat to Carl Froch, and the fight never happened. But I think that he would have beaten Carl Froch. I do. I think stylistically he would have won that fight. But it's since winning the world title that I think he's turned into a bit of a diva. I think he's just trying to defend his belt, get paid, but take the path of least resistance. So yeah, I'm not impressed by this fight. Not impressed by Thomas Williams Jr. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Thomas Williams Jr. can cause this guy problems? I mean, as I said, I've only watched Thomas Williams Jr. about 4 or 5 times. I've seen several of his fights, but yeah, and I was never really that impressed. I just wasn't. Okay, I saw the Rodriguez fight, and I just was pissed at the stoppage because it really shouldn't have been stopped. And I'm not taking away the fact that he did manage to score a knockdown in the fight, but look, Edwin Rodriguez is a clumsy fighter, a very clumsy fighter, in fact, a guy who makes a lot of mistakes in the ring. So, being able to knock him down is not that impressive. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm picking Adonis Stevenson by knockout. I think he may do it in the first half of the fight. We'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think. How do you think that Kovalev would do against? That Stevenson would do against Kovalev, or how do you think Stevenson would do against Ward? Or how do you think Stevenson would do against any of the light heavyweights, any of the top contenders? A rematch with Fonfara, a fight with Cleverly. I don't know. How do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think. I'm out.